The boardroom, the job site, the leadership table. You call it the office. I call it the arena. Welcome to In the Arena with Stephanie. It's the podcast for high-achieving Christian women who are navigating male-dominated industries. I'm your host, Stephanie Brown, certified master Christian life coach, DISC behavior consultant, speaker, author, and CEO of Her Authenticity. You aren't in these spaces by accident. You're there on assignment. Through this podcast, we're reclaiming your kingdom authority, expanding your corporate influence, and equipping you to lead as the authentic ambassador that you were created to be. So come on, let's step into the arena. Today, we're talking about something that almost every woman in the arena has experienced. Picture this. You walk into a meeting with an incredible idea that you can't wait to share with the team. You present it clearly, confidently, and you actually feel really good about how you communicated it. But when you finish, the room goes quiet. A couple of people nod, someone says, "Interesting," and just like that, the conversation moves on. 5 minutes later, a male colleague repeats it. He may change a few things slightly, but for the most part, you know that it is your idea. And suddenly, it lands. Leadership thinks it's the best idea they ever heard. And you're sitting there thinking, wait, didn't I just say that? Chances are this has happened to you more than once because it has happened to me in several different arenas. But we are conditioned to accept it and not talk about it. But today, I am giving you permission to talk about it. But when you talk about it, let's look at it through the lens of identity and alignment. Now, when your ideas are taken, it triggers something deeper than frustration. You feel it instantly, don't you? The heat rises in the back of your neck. You feel that sudden weight in your chest as you realize your voice is being silenced and your contribution is being overlooked in real time. And in that moment, you feel trapped between two not so good options. Option one is that you stay silent and you just let them take the credit for your idea. Option two, you speak up, but you risk the corporate labels being applied to you. The corporate labels that says you're difficult, or you're emotional, or you're defensive, or you're angry. And when the meeting ends, the internal dialogue starts. Did I not communicate strong enough? Am I overreacting? Why do they make me feel invisible? There's no hope for change. They've done this before. They always do this. If I say something, they won't believe me. I'll get emotional. They'll say I'm hard to work with. And then later, the thoughts get heavier. Maybe I should just give up. Maybe I should stop trying to become something more. Maybe I should just accept what they give me to keep the peace. Maybe I was never meant to be here. Do you see what just happened? It went from an idea being taken to questioning your identity and your purpose. The lie started forming that says my value is tied to the idea. The lie that says my worth is being stolen as well. It chips at your confidence. It makes you second guess your seat at the table. But the truth is that who you are is not tied to the idea. It's not tied to the meeting. It's not tied to the presentation. And it's not tied to that one moment of recognition. As we discussed last week, who you are is tied to being an ambassador of Christ. Now, let's be honest. We know that in the arena, communication is often viewed as a dominance game. The loudest voice often gets remembered. When a man repeats your idea, he may not even realize that he's stealing it. He could simply just be taking what's on the table and claiming it. Sometimes our contributions are unintentionally overlooked, or they're intentionally claimed. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's strategic, and sometimes it's their insecurity coming out. As I said before, when this happens, we feel like we are between two different options in how we respond. Either we disappear or we explode. But I want to tell you today that there is a third option. And that third option is not to disappear, it's not to explode, but it's to reclaim your idea without fighting. Now, when you do this, you keep a tone that is calm and that is confident. Your posture shows that you are in control and that you own the idea, and you speak with authority. So if you're in that room and that idea is stolen, you might say this: I'm glad you agree with the idea, so let me share the details on how we can implement it and create a win for the company. Did you hear the shift in the statement? No accusations, no attacking, and definitely no shrinking. This is ambassador leadership. It's letting go of that own mindset that says, I'm a victim, that says, I'm powerless, that says, oh, he stole my idea again. This always happens to me. I'm invisible. They don't respect me. I should just stay quiet. That's the old victim mindset. But ambassador leadership has a mindset of empowerment. Remember, the ambassador leader represents the kingdom. Their thought is that their ideas have value, not because they thought of them on their own, but because their thoughts and their ideas came from God-given wisdom. They speak with authority and they advocate for themselves, not out of ego, but out of stewardship of what God has given to them. You see, if God gave you that insight, if God gave you that idea, that solution, that wisdom, then letting someone else take credit isn't humility. It's poor stewardship of what you've been entrusted with. Humility does not mean that we have to be invisible. Even Jesus corrected people publicly when it was necessary. So when someone takes your idea and they detach you from that idea, they can take the credit, yes, but they don't have the vision. They don't have the full blueprint that God gave to you. And therefore, the company often gets a diluted version of the original idea. So how does an ambassador handle idea theft? She operates differently. So hopefully you have a pencil or something to take notes, but I'm going to give you 5 ambassador actions that can assist you when this happens in your arena. Number 1, respond in the room. Don't wait until the meeting is over to send a frustrated email or to vent in the hallway, but reclaim your idea in real time without emotion hijacking your authority. Stay calm and speak clearly. So you may respond in this manner. You may say, I'm glad that's resonating. When I mentioned it earlier that we could approach it this way, I was thinking we could also add, and then you share the rest. Or you may say, yes, that's the approach I outlined. Here's how we can execute it. Or you may say, yes, that aligns with the solution that I shared earlier. I'd be happy to expand on how we could implement it. You see, you are reclaiming the authorship without accusation. Your tone is nice. You're not defensive. You're not aggressive. You're just anchored. Number two, you need to document your ideas in writing through emails, maybe through Slack, whatever your messaging tool is, share documents, and you need to document it before you go into the meeting so that you have that paper trail. Because documentation preserves your credibility, and ambassadors are always thinking ahead. Number three, if you see this pattern continuing with the same person, you need to address it privately. Don't gossip about it. Don't get angry about it. Just schedule a meeting so that you can have a direct and composed conversation with the person that is doing this. You may want to say something like this. I've noticed in a few meetings that ideas I've shared are later presented without reference. Going forward, I need us to be clear about who's bringing what to leadership. That's calm, that's professional, but yet it's also firm. Number four, you need to operate from abundance and not scarcity. The problem with scarcity thinking is this. We think that if he gets credit, we lose. Scarcity thinking says there's only room for one of us to succeed, which is not true. And so you need to have the ambassador mindset or the mindset of abundance, where you're not competing for a limited supply of God's favor or human recognition, but instead you represent an abundant kingdom. Your ideas come from an infinite source, which is God's wisdom. So if one idea gets stolen, you'll have another. And therefore, with this mindset, it removes that feeling of desperation and it allows you to be strategic rather than reactive. So don't hoard your ideas out of fear. Still share them. If one gets stolen, then bring another. Focus on being a consistent contributor, not a one-time, right? So you are focusing on consistent contributions, not on one-time wins. And what happens when you do this? You begin to build a reputation as a source of ideas and solutions, and eventually your track record will speak louder than the ideas that were stolen. And number five, strengthen your executive presence. Sharpen how you communicate. Drop qualifiers. And what do I mean by qualifiers? Here are some examples. You might say, this might not make sense, but we should. This might be dumb, but I'm not sure if this will work. Or what about this one? Well, maybe we could. So you need to replace those qualifiers with things like, I recommend, or here's what we should do. You need to own your expertise. So instead of, I just think, you may want to say, based on my analysis. You want to state the idea, not suggest it. So instead of saying, well, what if we tried X? You want to say, the solution is X, so let's execute it. You see, you train, or your tone trains people in how to treat your contributions. And so when you present those ideas and you present those contributions, you want them to be solid. You want to present them with confidence. So when the next idea is stolen, and there will be a next idea that's stolen, remember these 5 things, and I'll give them to you again. Number 1, respond in the room in real time, calmly and clearly. Number 2, have your documentation available to share with the team. Number 3, if it's the same person that's stealing ideas, have that private conversation. Number 4, address things from an abundance mindset. And number 5, show up like a boss, displaying your executive president. Remember, you are an ambassador who has been called to this arena. So show up, represent the one who sent you, contribute, and move the work forward. I want to thank you for joining me in the arena today. If today's episode equipped you, please share it with one other woman who is leading in a high-stakes environment. Don't forget to subscribe so that you do not miss any episodes. I'll see you back here next week. Be the authentic ambassador. Kingdom authority and corporate influence, it's yours. So go and lead.